All right, today we're diving into the icy, high-stakes world of Arctic shipping. As the ice melts, it's opening up what looks like a golden opportunity, but it's also revealing some pretty alarming dangers. So, let's chart a course through this complicated new frontier.
Just think about that for a second. What if there was a brand new shortcut for global trade? One that could save weeks of travel time. As the planet warms, that's exactly what's happening. New sea lanes are opening up across the top of the world, and it could literally change how we move goods around the globe.
And this really puts it into perspective. You see, compared to the traditional route through the Suez Canal, this new northern sea route can slash shipping times by 2, even 3 weeks. For an industry where time is money, that's not just a shortcut. It's a full-blown gold rush.
But of course, with a rush like this comes a huge wave of danger. As more and more ships push into these treacherous remote waters, the risk of disaster is growing just as fast as the opportunity.
And the numbers here, well, they don't lie. In just 6 years, shipping activity in the Arctic jumped by a whopping 25%. We're talking more ships, more cargo, even more tourists, all sailing through one of the most fragile and honestly unforgiving environments on the entire planet.
And look, this isn't just some what-if scenario. The data shows a really worrying trend of ship casualties. Now, you might see that little dip there at the end and think, oh, things are getting better. But the source material gives us a pretty big warning. That could just be a blip caused by messy reporting, not some sudden safety miracle. So we really can't let our guard down here.
So what's actually going wrong out there? This is what I find fascinating. For 2020, the biggest slice of the pie, the #1 cause of incidents, wasn't dramatic collisions with icebergs, like the Titanic. It was machinery damage or failure, just things breaking down, and that's happening in the absolute middle of nowhere.
Okay, to really get a feel for what this danger looks like on the water, let's zoom in on 2 specific cases, 2 near disasters that, frankly, show a really troubling pattern. First up, we have the cruise ship Viking Sky. Imagine this. You're one of the 1,373 people on board when, in the middle of a violent storm off the coast of Norway, all the engines just die. The ship was adrift, powerless, and heading straight for the rocks. I mean, this was moments away from being an absolute catastrophe.
Hundreds had to be airlifted to safety in this incredible rescue. But here's the kicker. Take a look at this. This screenshot was taken 3 years after the incident. The official investigation still listed as ongoing. Think about that. 3 whole years without any public lessons learned from something that could have been a massive tragedy.
All right, case number 2, the Boris Vilkitsky, a gigantic carrier for liquefied natural gas. It sailed into the northern sea route with a busted engine, which basically crippled its ability to navigate through the ice. This wasn't just a mistake, it was a straight-up violation of the safety rules designed to stop exactly this from happening.
And what do you know? We see the exact same pattern, just with a different country. This is the website for the Russian authorities in charge of the route. Years later, nothing. No public record of what happened or what action was taken. It's a total information black hole.
So when you put these 2 stories side by side, it's pretty clear this isn't just a couple of isolated incidents. We're looking at a systemic problem. From Norway to Russia, we see this disturbing trend where authorities are slow and in some cases completely silent about figuring out what went wrong and sharing those lessons. And that lack of transparency, it really points to a much bigger problem. The whole safety system has a major weak spot, a real Achilles heel. It's built on shaky rules and, honestly, a pretty flimsy safety net.
Okay, so the main rulebook for all of this is something called the Polar Code. It's a good start, for sure, but a lot of its standards are what they call goal-based. So instead of saying, you must do X, it says, you should achieve Y. That sounds good, but it can create these sneaky loopholes that let operators check a box without really being prepared.
And then you've got this whole other layer of complexity, flags of convenience. This is when a ship, like that Boris Vilkitsky we just talked about, is registered in a country with weak rules to save money or dodge tough oversight. It's basically a shell game, but with massive ships. And this isn't just a hunch. The data is crystal clear. The source tells us that ships flying these flags of convenience have a significantly worse safety record. It's a known risk, and yet these ships are sailing into one of the most dangerous places on the planet. But out of all these issues, there's one that the source calls the true Achilles heel of Arctic shipping, and that is search and rescue. Because when things go wrong up there, this is where everything can fall apart.
And this map, wow, this map just says it all, doesn't it? Just look at the insane size of the areas each country has to cover. If your ship gets into trouble out here, help isn't just around the corner. We're talking hours, maybe even days away.
And that's assuming help can even get to you. I mean, just think about the challenges rescuers are up against. We're talking about mind-boggling distances, some of the worst weather on the planet, communications that are spotty at best, and just not enough helicopters, ships, or bases to go around. That safety net we talked about, it's stretched to its absolute breaking point.
Okay, so after all that doom and gloom, you might be wondering, is there a better way to do this? Well, the good news is, the source material says, yes, there is, but it's going to require a huge shift in thinking, a move toward real transparency and accountability. So what does that look like? Well, the United Kingdom actually gives us a great model. Their approach is simple, but it's so powerful. First, when something goes wrong, you investigate with one goal and one goal only, to prevent it from happening again. Second, and this is key, you don't point fingers. You don't try to assign blame, because that just makes people hide things. And finally, you make every single report public so the entire industry can learn from every single mistake.
So that's really the playbook for a safer Arctic. We need independent watchdogs who actually have teeth. We need mandatory public reporting on every single incident. No more secrets. And we absolutely have to get better at working together internationally, both on the safety rules and on that critical search and rescue net.
Which brings us back to the big urgent question. The Arctic ice is melting faster than anyone predicted. The profits are real and the rush is on. But here's the question. Can our commitment to safety, to people's lives, possibly keep pace with the lure of that profit? That right there is the billion-dollar question that's going to decide the future of the top of the world.